to everything, right? It's not a bunch of men that are 30 years old crying on TikTok. It's a bunch of women that are crying, like, I just want a baby. I just want to bake cookies. I want to be like, I want to have children and bake pumpkin pie and hang out in the sunlight, you know? It's not men sitting around crying about
Isn't
that.
it that complaining that they don't get laid?
I mean, getting laid
invented a thing called incels.
Yeah, so
Incels, people that don't have sex. You need to have babies. So wagwan.
right. So I agree with you on that. Guys want sex, but they're not online crying about it.
Of course. Instead, what do they do? They end up bottling it all up, and then eventually they jump off a bridge. That's the sad reality of things. So that's why, realistically, let's not sit here and point fingers, and let's just say, okay, let's complain about the Matrix.
Wait, what did you just say? You said, wait, men cry about what?
No, they don't cry about it. They bottle it up, and then they jump off a bridge.
You know, honestly, a lot of men do kill themselves because of the way women treat them.
Yes,
in divorce court.
Divorce
like
as well. I
interview them all the time. Women will destroy a guy's life.
Yeah. A man destroys a woman's life. We all destroy each other's lives sometimes when things don't go right. That's the thing. And I don't think that there's any need for people to be forcing situations that are just not right. Evolve as people.
I think we should.
I don't think
force
so.
situations. I think women think things aren't right when a lot of times they are.
Yeah.
Because women weren't taught. We were not taught that you're supposed to stick it out through thick and thin.
Yep.
We're taught to divorce your husband to be happy.
Yep.
When your happiness doesn't matter. Like, it's so stupid that like women we think like our happiness, like that's the other thing about why we don't have traditional women anymore. We really believe that our happiness is more important than the kids.
Yeah.
When our grandmothers, our great grandmothers, they would stick it out for the kids no matter what because they cared about the children. But it's like women today are so selfish.
Yeah, and again, because they're bombarded with propaganda telling them, but they are. Hold on, they're bombarded with propaganda all the time, saying like, you know what, girl, you can do it. You don't need a man. You can do this. You can do that. Like I have a friend. She's absolutely gorgeous. She is beautiful, and she literally looks like a model, right? And she tells me at the end of her days, of her work days, and she does an amazing job. She makes like $200,000 a year, something like that. And she says at the end of every workday, she comes home and just wants to cry from all the stress because she just hates everything. Because she's like caught up in this lifestyle where she has to continue delivering, and she just sees herself getting older and still single, doesn't have a fucking man, any suitors in the picture, you know, and she has that like existential crisis closing in on her. Like man or woman, like dude, I'll tell you this, even at 37, right? I want to have a family. Like I feel my biological clock ticking as a man. Like I want to have children. I don't want to sit around and be like one of these old miserable players and like, you know, like, oh, I went out with the new girl tonight. Like, dude, like you're old. Go home and like fucking build a boat or something, you know? I don't want to be that guy, you know? And I think a lot of people realize that kind of window closes on them. As a man, I'm lucky because I can have kids at 50. I can have kids all the way into my 60s. Like Donald Trump had Barron and he was like 56, I think, something like that.
Al Pacino is having a baby at 70.
At 80, no, he's like 83. I think he's like 82 or 83.
That wrinkly thing still goes inside.
Oh, dude, listen, if there's a will, there's a way with men. But the thing is this, right? You know, you have that reality that's been pushed on women. It's unfortunate because women they've been tricked into thinking like, oh, you need sexual experience. There have been studies that completely debunk that theory, like the myth of sexual experience. And again, you look at all of it, and you know, I respect you girls here on the panel. You have to work hard. You have to go out there, and it's a dog eat dog world out there. As a woman now, like independently, you are like expected to go out there, pay your own rent, pay your own bills, do all this and go out there and find a man and try to figure out a way to keep it together, right? It's hard for you girls too. But I mean, if you look back at all the stuff you were taught, it was all based around you becoming another cog in the consumerism wheel. That's all it's based around. It's not about your independence. You think these fucking corporations give a shit about you? You think these governments give a good goddamn about you? They don't give a fuck about you. All they care about is pulling as much money out of you as possible. And you know, if you have a man with you, guess what? When you're in love, you just need that person there with you. You don't need to like, oh baby, I love you and I need a fucking Hermes bag or I need to go buy some Louis Vuitton shoes. Like when you're in love, you can have like a fucking paper bag and like a pizza and you'd be like, I'm just so happy to be here with this pizza and the person I love and the fucking sunset or something like that. And that's what they're trying to distract us from. And again, what is it all doing? pulling us apart, and they're doing it to men too.
Yeah.
Who's the number one consumers of corn, right? Pornhub, OnlyFans, all that stuff. It's men bleeding the men of money. And then who does the money go to? It goes to women. There's a thing in Japan. I'll tell you guys about this, right? So there's a vicious sick cycle in the sex worker industry, right? So the salary man goes to these women called hostesses, right? You go to the hostess club, and the hostesses, you pay like $20 a drink to sit there and talk with a woman. And then sometimes you buy champagne or whatever. So these salary men who are working all day, they go to these clubs and they go to the hostess girls. And some of these hostesses make $80,000 to like $100,000 a month. They kill it. And they don't have to have sex with these guys. It's just part of the culture. They sit there, they chat, they talk to the guys up, right? And then the hostesses, they finish around 2, 3 a.m. in the morning. And where do they go? They go to the host club. And that's where the men prey on these hostesses, and they go and talk to these guys, and they talk about all their works at the fucking, they talk about all the troubles that they had at the job to these guys, and they're like, oh, baby, buy these drinks, buy this, and they listen to all, and they kind of smoosh them and make them feel good. And those clubs open from like 3 a.m. to 8 a.m. So you have the salary man passing money to the hostesses, passing the money to the hosts, and everybody in that whole chain is miserable. Mm-hmm. And it's all based around consumerism.
Yeah.
They would all be happier if they went home, had a family, were just like normal people, but they're all caught up in this lifestyle. And that's exactly what's happening over here in the West, too. Like, they're constantly telling you, like, look, think about it. All the companies are like, oh, you know what? Here's Bob, and Bob's a fucking dumb man. And like, here's Bob's wife, Martha. And Martha really understands Bob's an idiot because Martha uses Tide, And then it's like, Tide, because Marthas are great. And then women are like, yeah, that's right. I'm going to buy this fucking Tide. My husband's an idiot. And then, you're poisoning the culture with this toxic message that's only designed to pull more money out of you. That's it.